What up, tube? Yeah, so this morning, Monday morning, beautiful day, we're going to be playing with some acrylic inks. Yes, not alcohol, acrylic. Acrylic inks are cool because they're like, in a sense, the best of both worlds. It's like really pigmented acrylic paint, but it's flowy, and you can do a bunch of stuff that's, kind of watercolory in a sense. Mm. So, like I said, it's the best of both worlds involved in that. I went down kind of a rabbit hole last night and just experimented a little bit with some things um, just to see what would happen. I'm actually just going to use, I have like four colors here that I just kind of dug out. There's a yellow. This is a Dollar Raleigh, lemon yellow. Actually, this is a watercolor ink. Oops. Be a different video, I guess. This one here is an acrylic ink, though. This is Hooker Green. I call it Hooker Green. Prussian Blue. This is a Dioxazine Purple. Really nice purple there. And then I have a set here also of just some iridescence, in the box. I hadn't even opened the set yet. I believe there's a black and white, of course, in here. Let's see what we got. So we have in the box, we have, let's just dump the whole thing here. We have, like I said, carbon black, titanium white, iridescent rich copper, um, iridescent rich bronze, iridescent bright gold, and iridescent bright silver. So lots of shimmery shinies. No reds, though, I guess I'm going to use the copper, maybe as a red. But yeah, I'm going to try to do some painting with this here, just to see what happens. I don't want to clap it, but just going to see what happens. There's a few different things that I picked up in just looking at this, the paints can go on just straight, and be used as ink. Like you could actually write, messages with them, or you can use them kind of watercolor style, try to, yeah, there's a lot you can do with these here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually wet this area right in here. I did a tester of this last night, and I think the one thing that I didn't like with it was that it didn't necessarily get as yeah, I didn't necessarily get to the point where I would have wanted it. I'm gonna stick this. I know it says that it's a watercolor ink, but I'm just gonna stick it in the middle anyway, just because I do like the color of it. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to pick that up, but I have a very nice thick yellow in here that I'm building in um, as my sun area. Yeah. So that's going to be kind of the main focus of everything is this sort of sunshiny yellowish area. Um, I do actually want to, if I can. And the thing with these is that you have to, make sure you give them a good hippie shake. So I'm going to drop a little bit of this copper in here also. Just to see what happens. Anybody else, whenever they're given a tutorial and then they do something that they're like, let me try something, they get really quiet. Is that just me? it's like, oh, I want to try something else, So let's get like super quiet, you know. Forget about the fact that we're wearing a microphone. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. What did I get? Oh, I got that from my younger brother. Um, my younger brother Kevin actually called me over the weekend, and to give a little bit of backstory, he has a couple of things, with him, physically, neurologically, whatever. Um, we didn't think he'd make it past 25, and that dude's just about getting ready to turn 40 here. So yeah, definitely proving us all wrong. But called me to tell me that he went to a kind of a charity event called his prom, which I thought was really cute. But shiny, shiny here. When he called to tell me about that, using our conversation, if I'm talking, you know, because I have to. One of the things I've noticed is that I don't necessarily interrupt people when they're talking. I'm very patient, and it's because of all the conversations that I have with him where his brain might shut off for a second. Where he's not really wanting to speak on certain things. So, when that happens, my brain will kind of take over the conversation, I guess you'd say. And drop this green down at the bottom. It does the effect that I want for it to do. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I wanted you to do the first time. But when speaking with Kevin, a lot of times in these, you know, I'll have this point where I'm talking with him, and he might go to say something, and I'm going to talk back, and he's just like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, my big brother, yeah, yeah." I think that's where I got it from. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, actually, I kind of like that. So, as you can kind of see here, what I'm doing with the alcohol inks. I said it again. What I'm doing with the acrylic inks. I'm kind of painting them in a little bit, almost as I would with a watercolor. Um, like a pepet on wet, I guess you call it, or dropper on wet, or a little thingy on wet. Not necessarily wet on wet, But yeah, I'm just wetting the water here. This is watercolor paper. This is actually like it's a Canon XL, so I don't know if it's supposed to be cheaper or more expensive. I think I said it was like 200 weight. Um, I can put a listing of everything if I remember in the comments. I just have to remember to do that. See, I don't know if this stuff is like leaning down there because it's weighted or something. Like, is the table off? Do I need to slide everything off the table here and try to like lean it out this way, son? See, yeah, I mean, like all my water's like moving. I'm going to just try to tilt this a little around, get some of the water flowing in areas. Um, Even though I didn't really want a blue sky. Oh, no! 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 I didn't want a blue sky. So I wanted a blue water instead of a blue sky, right? Pull some of the green with the blue here, I guess. Try to make that redo itself. Yeah, you wanted the blue down here, right? Yeah. See, I think that it's pulling lower because it's not necessarily that the paper's buckling. It's more like the table was in a spot where it just didn't necessarily fit. This is actually not even as good as the last one was. The last one I got the colors correct at least. It's gonna have like a really cool effect once it does dry. I should show you guys. Yeah. And a lot of people use these as underpaintings, especially if they're coming in to do, I guess, soft pastel is really popular to do underpaintings on these with. Um, really, any medium. There's something here. I wonder. Uh, it's not very very heaty, but if you need to move your water around, and as you see, I'm also like fighting to keep it out of that center. What I kind of want to do still is I want to add in some purple. You know, I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I'm like re-wetting the canvas here to see if I can, or the paper to see if I can, which is something that you're noticing. Like, yeah, I'm putting more water on here, but it ain't really doing much for the stuff that's already at. Well, that yellow kind of gets moved around a little bit when I add some water to it, because that is a watercolor. Um, my yellow gold mix. And the thing about this is, this is play. Um, I am basically just trying to kill off some time. I had an art challenge that was like, yeah, you know, do something in your sketchbook for 20 minutes. And, I don't know if I can even play with these things for 20 minutes. Like, you know, obviously the setup time should be included. But for me, it's like, yeah, the time spent watching tutorials on YouTube should be included. You know, if that's the case, then I've hit 20 minutes a day, every day. No, I haven't. So, that actually has appearance to it. I'm just going to try something here. Are you the purple? No, you're the blue. You're the purple. I'm going to try to add a little bit of purple into this. Just see what happens. Okay, I'm going to just kind of. Oh, I guess I had a little bit of something on that other side there, huh? Wasn't dry. And if you can hear that, that is why I have tarps all over the floor. I kind of like that. Yeah, I do kind of like that. It's almost a different look, like through the camera. A little bit, yeah. But I do kind of like this. Um, yeah, really interesting. This is a fun medium. It really is because obviously this is just scratching the surface of what I can do with these inks. There's going to be so much more. Like, like I said, this is literally ink. So I can go and break out my sumi, stuff and try to do some work with that. Maybe I do a sumi unagashi, where I'd have to test this out to see if these inks are floatable. I guess I could just kind of do a quick test here. Mm, well, if you're gonna float, you're gonna float, right? I don't know if you will. They might use it. Shake it up just a little bit more. Yeah, I just want to see if this will float. So I'm just gonna drop it like right on the water. And it sinks straight to the bottom. A little bit of residual, but mostly sinking to the bottom. Okay, so yeah, maybe this won't be good for sumi ink, but we'll find out. You know, sumi ink if I drop a you know a little more color on the. We'll see, and I'll fool with that later. But yeah, this is what I got here. It's kind of a weird sort of backgroundy sort of look, per se that I'm into. Um, and like I said, I'm into it at least, which is what matters. You know, if you're into it also, leave a comment, like, share, all that sort of fun stuff. Hit the bell for notifications. You know, tell your friends, tell your family. Buy my art. I'm gonna have a bunch more of that available here pretty soon. You know, in different avenues and all that. And yeah, I'm gonna go and clean up the table. Might do a pour real quick. You know, since I have the mic and everything set up. I moved this back over to the desk where I have some other projects going on. But yeah, till next time. Deuces.